Moving during the pandemic? Yeah, I kind of regret it. Good afternoon, everybody. Fascinating. Today we have this situation where it turns out people that, bought during the pandemic now are rethinking their choices. And so we'll go over that article in a moment. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Schink. I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri, a boutique law firm. We have our podcast, Deerwood Realty and Friends, and we talk about neighbors, HOAs, real estate stuff, bad real estate agents, and then just general stories about the real estate market. If you like that kind of content, then you should probably click subscribe. Check out our channel at Deerwood Realty STL on YouTube. So, what I've noticed happens, to me at least, is there'll be whispers of something. So you'll have a friend, we call it anecdotal evidence. You'll have a friend that says, hey, I think this. And then 2 or 3 days later, you'll be meeting with a client and, they'll say, hey, I think the same thing. And then, it starts to be this kind of snowball effect. Well, what I've noticed lately is this idea that people that bought their homes during the pandemic are now starting to feel a sense of regret. I don't understand it because I don't operate that way as an agent. But I suspect if you panic bought and then everybody said buy and everybody else was buying and you decided you wanted to buy just because everybody else did, I guess you could feel regret now. But I wanted to go over the article. I thought it was kind of fascinating, so let me get that to you. It's right here. Hit the button there, and here we go. So the headline of the article says, "You regret moving during the pandemic. Now what?" It's by a real estate agent. And he says, throughout the pandemic, the real estate market was on fire. Mortgage rates and home prices hit all-time lows. We'll get back to that. So then he goes through and he says, well, the reason why you bought is because, you could do something that you hadn't done before with the low rates. And now you've decided that, hey, I don't want to buy this house anymore. And so the first thing he says is don't panic. He says, call your agent. Do the math before you sell. Do the math before you buy. There. Not the longest article in the world, but something I wanted to go over with you. So if you bought a house and it was stupid overpriced and you try to sell it now, you're not going to be in a good situation. The market's still hot, yes, but you're not, maybe you sell it on your own without an agent. But I just wanted to know from you guys, comment, do something. Tell me that, is this a thing? Are people really doing this? Are they really regretting buying the house? I had some thoughts and questions, just wanted to go over them. So the first thought I had was, the article says that home prices were at an all-time low in addition to low mortgage rates. And so that didn't happen in St. Louis. And that's just to show that the market is, different in different places. We weren't at an all-time low in housing prices. We've been running up with housing prices for years. So, it was already a little bit, hot. And then, when they lowered rates and added that to Corona, it was bad for buyers. And then so another thing I had was, in regretting a move, what did you regret? Is the regret based on the situation you were in? For example, did you rent and move to your first home and then you're regretting that? Or did you sell your house for a great price and then bought another house that was really expensive given the situation? And so I do think that your regret can be based on, where you were from. I suspect that if you were a first-time home buyer, got a great house, you got a good rate, good fixed rate, you should be pretty darn happy right now, especially if you bought early before the things really ramped up. you should be in really good shape. And I would say that for the people that bought houses last year that I helped, they are all happy right now. They're all extremely happy. Now, if you moved, if you bought into this, it's a question of how that worked out for you. So did you sell your home at a great price and then use those proceeds to buy a bigger house? Well, that shouldn't be a reason to be upset either, really. So maybe the word regret is kind of, I don't know, kind of off. But I saw another article talking about regretting a home purchase, but it was on Reddit, so it's not really an article. But this person bought a house in the neighborhood, and then he's constantly been looking at the prices in the neighborhood, and he feels like he's paid 3 times more than what anybody else paid. And I would love to hear you guys' responses to this. And my question to that is, when you go with another buyer's agent, okay, and they say, this is the house, what comps do they show you? And the reason why I ask, are they showing you any comps at all? And I'm not saying you need to rely on the appraiser first. I'm just talking about what are the comps that you see from your real estate agent when you're buying a home? And are those comps relevant? So if it's a house 2 doors down, that's a relevant comp within 6 months, okay? Sold within 6 months. If it's a house 2 subdivisions over, I mean, that's not necessarily a relevant comp. There can be a lot of differences between that, at least where I'm at. So are people just not seeing? Because I watched this. I mean, I watched somebody buy a house for over probably $150,000 more in my neighborhood than what they should have paid. And I'm blown away by it. And so I was just curious about, are people just not seeing the comps? And on that house, that house was, you could easily see that was way too much for the house based on the other home sales in the neighborhood. And then it's kind of interesting to me, this, I always try to work with my buyers and talk about buyer's remorse. We don't want buyer's remorse. So I try to give them all the information up front. And a lot of times I'll say, we'll go see a house and then say, I'd really like to make an offer on this house. We go through the numbers. And then I say, why don't you sleep over it, sleep on it overnight. Just, make sure that this is the way you want to go. Does it help? I don't know. I've never had somebody regret a house that we bought, but I'm not doing 200, 300 houses a year. I'm not set up for that. So, but you may be able to argue that we don't have time to make that kind of decision. Well, if you don't have time to make a decision or to sleep on it, then you're letting time influence your decision in a way that will be negative for your purchase. So for those of you, just a service message, when you're going and looking at houses, okay, and your realtor gives you comps, make sure the comps are relevant, okay? Make sure you're comfortable with them. So another thing I thought was, how can this situation be avoided? So as a real estate agent, I want my buyers to be happy with the homes they bought, or else I'm going to be out of business. And so I would never throw somebody in a house that they don't want. And so to think about how I could prevent such a thing from happening, well, like I said, we run the comps. We look at other houses. We don't just look at 1 or 2 houses and make an offer. We try to, think about it overnight, sleep on it, come up with the same plan in the morning. That's good. Sometimes we'll go visit the house again. You'd be surprised. Sometimes you'll go to a house, you'll say, this is the one. But there's buyer's fatigue and stuff like that. So you go the next day and maybe even a different, time of day. Maybe you went at night and now it's during the day and you think totally different about buying that house. And so, the key is to really, really feel comfortable in your decision in the first place. To try and avoid the buyer's remorse, that's what I do. I don't know. If you have a better idea, I'd love to hear it. And then just anecdotal stuff for me is during the height of the market, I was telling my buyers who, stay calm. If we miss a house, don't worry about it. If 4 other people offered or 30 other people or whatever offered on a house, don't worry about it. Just keep looking. And I knew that there was always going to be a house available for this person that they were going to like. It may not be the first house, may not be the second house, may not be the 5th house. We look at 25 houses, may not be any of those. It doesn't matter. As long as you've got the process in place, you're going to find a house that you're going to love. When people try to short that, that's where it gets dicey. But one of the things that I saw in St. Louis is we had a house that was in South City. The people had bought it 3 years ago for like $150,000. They literally changed the gutters, and then they were asking like, $250, $280. And I mean, I just showed my buyers the comps, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do this. Because buyers don't like to feel that they've been taken advantage of. Buyers don't like seller greed. If they see it, it makes them sick, and they don't want to have anything to do with that house. And so that's just the way I took it when the market was really, really hot. I told my buyers, or I told people that were selling, if you're going to buy a new house, make sure you have a house to go to first. Don't try and sell your house and then be forced into buying a house that you don't want because you're crunched and you have no place to go. So that's what I did. And, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about this. Do you feel regret? And tell me why you feel the regret. What was the situation that you felt didn't work out for you? Leave me a voicemail, 314-274-3964, or leave me an email. Send me an email, media@deerwoodrealtysdl.com. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you on the next one.